Hello, love, and welcome to your reading. I um, I have been meditating for quite a bit, actually, on what to share with you, and a little bit of anxious energy on my part. So I'm trying. I'm not sure if that's me or the reading or what's going on, but just trying to notice and observe and we're gonna get going. I'm just gonna dive into it this go round and working with the um, working with the oh my gosh, my brain. I'm so sorry. Wildwood Tarot. All right. I believe that's what we worked with last time, so not too much of a surprise. And I've had a couple cards here that just fell out, so putting those into play. A lot of jumpy cards here. Like I said, I can't tell if it's my energy or the energy of this reading or what is going on. There's a lot of it's just a lot. It's just a lot is what I'm feeling. All right, one more shuffle here, and then we're gonna lay it all out and get going. I think I was feeling a little bit of extra pressure to remember what your last reading was about, and I don't. I remember it being very a bit of a spiritual charge to it, as far as where you need to move and what you need to move into. But otherwise, I don't remember. And to be really honest, that's not necessary for us to do a reading because it's not really about me. And that's the whole point. So meditating on the cards here, really just asking what should come through for you. And I am going to I'm going to do a Celtic cross. So pretty typical for us for our gatherings here. It's funny because I think some of these cards were I was going to say played last time, but were part of the last spread. And um, anyway, that could be really interesting. All right, so I want to see what's going on here. I'll show you now the overview. So all right, so in the center here is where you are currently, and we've got the Eight of Bows, the Heartfire. Um, hmm. 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 So I think what's interesting about this card is it says, on the edge of a sparse winter forest camp, lit with the warm dancing flames of a large log fire, we see 8 figures gathered around a roaring hearth fire. The merry band raise goblets, shake hands, and laugh, bathing in the shared bond of fellowship and harmony created by the true loyalty of lifelong friends. A hearth fire gives warmth and light in the deep midwinter. Warmth of love, of life, love, and friendship are shared generously. This is what really stuck out to me. There is a sincere desire for celebration, security, and harmony shared with companions and kindred spirits. And so this is in the place of where you are at present moment. And what stuck out to me was the sincere desire for celebration, security, and harmony shared with companions and kindred spirits. It's almost as if you're in this place where um, this is what you long for. Like this picture is what you really longing for. Like this is your heart's desire, is to have um, I just got this image of the old school Anne of Green Gables. I don't know if you're familiar with that. But where Anne is, when the series starts, she's in an orphanage, and she goes up to the mirror, or she goes up to the window, and I forget what her friend's name is, but she names this friend in the window. Like it's her reflection, right? And she calls her kindred spirit, and then that ends up being what she calls her friend. Gosh, I can remember her last name, Barry, but I can't remember her first name. Um, the things that are like coming back to me right now are very strange. But so she basically faked it right until someone came into her life that was there. And what I like about that image is that it is an image of her. And so there's this idea of like befriending yourself. Um, and so it seems like that's kind of where you are. Like if you want this level of kinship and loyalty where you feel really connected with people and you feel like you're really vibrating with them, it's really important to start here. That you begin to befriend those parts of yourself first and create this warmth within your own chest. Like I'm just even feeling that now. Like create that companionship and that company that you crave, that support that you long for. Now, that's something that you mentioned in your message, and I meant to clarify and didn't. So I'm not quite sure what you mean, but when you mentioned like you haven't found support yet, um, be that support to yourself. Whatever it is, wherever your like heart is wanting to lead you, like be the first person who shows up for yourself. But be the first person to cheerlead and champion the ideas that your heart is coming up with. Oof, that's a lot for the very first card. That's kind of unusual, but like I said, I just feel like this is buzzing. Okay, recent past, you've got the Knight of Vessels, the eel. And what this says to me is that everything I just mentioned, you are well prepared for. You know how to go deep within yourself. You know how to travel the seemingly darker waters of your interior. You know how to deal with the shadow. So if you know how to do it, so do it. Like it's in other words, that sounded. I don't like how that came out, but it's what came out, so I'm gonna leave it. But in other words, you have the skills and the tool set. So where you might feel nervous about going to that next level of befriending yourself and trusting your instincts and championing your own ideas, the truth is you really have all of that muscle memory already. And so you just need to decide to do it. The near future is the Knight of Stones, which is the horse. And you know what's interesting about this card is I can't ever tell if he is kicking up his back legs or if he is just on a path that is sloped downward. Because it seems like he's on a pretty rocky path. I'm going to go ahead and look up the Knight of Stones here. Let's see if we can get something. Okay, so it's interesting. So this is supposed to represent the prehistoric horse that's common in a lot of Paleolithic cave art. And it says the 30,000-year-old carving of an unshod hoof is said to represent both the vulva, and in parentheses it says new life, and the primal footprint showing the track through the forest. It's almost like this like combination of like new untread land and also the path that has led here from ages back past. Healthy activity and self-sufficiency color your path. Physical strength supports your decisions and pleasure is important. Daring, pride, and a love of the earth lead you to attempt ever more amazing feats. Let the horse carry you. So, again, this is in the near future, but it's this energy of this Paleolithic horse that has always existed and will always exist. So, this, in other words, it basically symbolizes. To me it symbolizes a really enduring spiritual element within all of us, and it those daring, pride, and a love of the earth is really what the horse is like carrying. And I think it's interesting that it says let horse carry you. And so coming up in the near future, I think you're going to find yourself in a space where you'll be presented with um, like the possibility of going your own, like doing it alone. I don't mean going your own way because I think you are going your own way, but doing it alone or letting spirit carry you. Um, you're going to be presented with those two options. So the card overlaying all these three is the Great Bear, and I think we've talked about this one. I've talked about this in several of my readings. He keeps popping up where he's, the guardian of the other world, and there's very spiritual magnificence about him. So, when it overlays the three cards, it's either a bridge or a barrier. And I find it interesting that it's like, I I really get the sense that it is the um, I get the sense that it's the bridge, and in the fact that you know what, I'm going to come back to that. I can't yet speak to that. There's something there. In our hopes and fears category here, so we've got the hopes, which is got the Six of Vessels, and it's reunion. What stands out to me with this card is that you've got your otters there, first of all. coming to drink. But it's got like a cup here that then drains into the larger body of water. And and this is where the other 6 vessels are floating. And so it's almost like there's the 6 vessels, but we've got the one that feeds all of those 6 vessels. And with this being reunion, so there's something, so what another thing that's standing out to me here is that this seems to be probably either, this is in winter sometime. All the trees here are missing their leaves. And so there's like this sense at the top of being like barren on the surface, but then when you look below, it's like this flowing, it's this really like beautifully flowing river. And it's just a sense that like your hope really is that no matter how things look, your hope is that your instinct and your intuition are correct, that underneath the surface something is really vibrant and alive and the current is flowing, and you're able to sense that, like these 2 little guys on the side, like you're not only able, sorry, it's hard, the lighting is difficult in here. You're not only able to sense that, you're able to pull up and drink from the water. In the fears category, we have the Guardian, one of our major arcanas here. And I think the fear is that you're going to be denied entry into the world that you want. And so I think coming back to the Great Bear, so this is what's interesting, is that here's the Great Bear alive, and the Guardian is actually the Great Bear skeleton. So there's almost this fear that like the Great Bears, like the fear is not real. The fear is a shadow of something, and I think that's why it's showing up as a skeleton here. But it's the fear that you'll approach the entry here and not be allowed in. And so in this way, the Great Bear card can be both a bridge and a barrier, because if you really trust Spirit and move forward despite your fear, you'll be able to be carried along. If you allow the fear to consume you, you won't. Some of the tools in your, or supports, I should say, allies in the journey, are the Ace of Stones, which is the foundation of life. And again, there's this sense of like age, eternity leading up to that. Yours is not a unique journey in terms of how creation has worked. Even in terms of you and yourself, like you have lived many lifetimes before this. What you're embarking on is not new to you. It feels new and it feels scary because in this lifetime, you've not yet taken it on. But the truth is, you have this incredible rock, the foundation of all of life, is laid before you. There's no real mysteries in this world because it's all been revealed to us. And so much of it really boils down to, do you trust what you know to be true, or does fear consume you and drive you forward? There's Elizabeth Gilbert wrote Big Magic, and I'm not sure if you've read that, but that might be something to put on your list. She has, I'm not sure if you're very familiar with her, but she's written a lot of different things, most famously Eat, Pray, Love. Big Magic is more about like the ideas of this, how the spiritual world plays into our creativity. And one of the concepts she introduces that I think is really fascinating is that um, is that um, ideas like come to us and they kind of like ask us if we want to co-create with them, and if we do, then we take it on. But then a lot of times we have fear, and fear, she says, fear will never leave us. It's not something you can just get rid of, but it will. If you can tell it, like, you no longer are driving the car, you must sit in the back seat, and it will, like, and it will listen to you. Like, in other words, your fear may not leave you, but you do have command over it, and you can learn to go along the journey with it. She does a much better job of explaining, so you may just want to check out that book. The next card is another helpmate, I would say, along the way, is the Three of Vessels, which is joy. And I love it that these are like, I want to look up what these birds are because they're really fascinating to me. Three of Vessels. Huh. Wait. Oh, that's Two of Vessels. I was like, that doesn't seem right. Okay. Three white cranes dance with each other, forming a triangle with their bodies and wings. Two stand facing, heads raised, and the third rises above them with spread wings. In the spaces between their legs are three vessels, one golden, one green, one white. Meaning, celebration within a communal group or family, welcoming the coming of new life or good fortune. The successful return after migration or travel by a tribe or grouping. Um, I find it interesting. First of all, the triangle is a really powerful structure. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, but it is one of the most powerful structures, like geometrically, in the universe. It's used in a lot of sacred geometry, at least versions of triangles. The Star of David is like two triangles overlapping each other, and there's just so many other like connections to it. But it's very strong. Like the way the three legs join, it's very hard to collapse a triangle because of the angles and all of that. And I think that's really what's really fascinating about that, the idea of a triangle and with connection to joy, is that that longing that you have for the celebration and the like for that communal thing, it can't be squashed. Um, it can't be squashed. It's a very, I want to affirm that for you, that it's a very real and um, a real and true desire. Like it's, you're not crazy for wanting that, and um, and also the universe is supporting that. Like the universe is supporting that desire that you have. It just needs you to start with yourself first, and as you do that, it will magnify and ripple outside of you and be returned to you. Like that level of joy will be returned to you. I want to cry for some reason thinking that, and maybe that's because I need that. I'm long for that as well. I just know I'm right there with you, sister. It's always fascinating to me when I have these readings because I always inevitably end up speaking to myself as well, and it just reminds me that I'm attracting people that I need to give messages that are also similar to messages I need to receive. And it's just such a wild, it's just such a wild journey, honestly. Um, and yeah, check out Animal Symbolism with Cranes. I'm gonna give you that homework to do. Um, and I want to see if they mention the colors of the chalices. Okay, so this is one thing it says too. The ability to connect directly to joy allows the healing and empowering energies to flow through you and is a gift from the universe. Being able to be joyful and celebrate life fully in gratitude for the amazing gifts we share is a uniquely individual blessing, but is also recognized by those who feel its warmth radiating from us. Radiating, it's again that concept that, like, build your hearth fire in your heart and practice letting it radiate. One thing I do when I'm meditating, as I think about how it feels when I feel grateful, how it feels when I feel love for something, and I try to like hold that feeling inside of me while I breathe and meditate. And love and gratitude are actually the highest vibrations that we can operate on. Love is the pure energy of the universe. And so when we seek to like raise our vibration toward that, like our body and mind, our spirit, everything can't help but respond. And then it radiates. So then it like people around us also feel that and it becomes a gift for everyone. Um, And the next thing to consider here is the Page of Bows. And I want to check him out too. This reading is challenging to me because it's kind of like I think we're next leveling you here, like peeling back another layer, like a really intense layer, because now nothing is like where I look at the cards and I see how they play and I know how they're interacting. Um, uh, just a second here. Um, but like, um, uh, once I like get used to them, like stuff just comes up. Um, so I want to look and see what's coming up with the Page of Bows here. Like, I basically what I'm saying is like these. There's something late, like it's almost like the meanings are kind of tucked into the layers here. So I apologize for needing to take a little bit more time, but it just seems like there's something deeper going on. Um, so it says that the stoat is basically has a fierce hunting instinct and has an ability to live underground, which is fascinating because in the picture it's in a tree. So it must know how to go above and below ground very easily, which means to me that it's able to um, like it's able to traverse both worlds, like mind and spirit. It's kind of that, like above ground being like what we know to be true in reality, below ground being what we know to be true within like the inner bowels of ourselves, in our spiritual beings, emotional beings. um, Often you are seen as an emissary, and as such your gifts are widely recognized and honored. Your ability to perceive the truth in almost any matter is vastly helpful, and your freedom of spirit marks you out as an original and unique personality. So, to me, that just seems like it needs to be um, a reminder of who you are. really. This card is a mirror for you. And the questions at the end, it says, who is offering you an opportunity? What is the advantage of staying where you are? How would things change if you engaged with this? So some things to write down. It also says it could be referring to a dream or vision. So really pay attention to your dreams. I'm not sure if you do or not yet already, but keeping a dream journal can be really helpful, especially if you get vivid dreams. If you wake in the night with a dream, write it down immediately. Otherwise, they do tend to fade, and we don't remember them again. My dream mentor in college, she really helped me learn how to interpret dreams. She used to say that like the mind was like an Etch-a-Sketch, and the dream might be written on there and drawn very intricate detail, but if you don't write it down, that it just like you go back to sleep or you even go through your day, that Etch-a-Sketch gets shaken and the image starts to disappear. So dreams can be really helpful. It's important to note that, or I guess I should say, my experience with them has been that sometimes they are me processing things. So symbolism is really heavy, really confusing at times. They can also be fairly prophetic, where this is not just you, but perhaps a meeting of other souls, or an idea of things to come being given to you. So anyway, a journal can help you start to recognize patterns in your dreams. And if you ever have any questions or want to work through any of those, let me know. I did do a dream session with someone a couple weeks ago, and it was really energizing for me. So I think I'm going to kind of just offer that in secret, just like through my peeps like yourself. Very last card here is number 9 of the Major Arcana, the Hooded Man. This is also the Hermit in the traditional tarot. You're being guided. You're being guided. This is another time where winter shows up in the cards here, and I think that's interesting. It seems like it feels like winter to you still. And maybe it literally is still winter. I know a lot of places in the US are still getting like hammered with snow, so maybe that's part of it. But there's a deeper feeling to it that you feel like winter is never ending in terms of the barrenness of it, the lack of growth, the lack of development showing itself to you. And I think this is just a reminder that the spirit of the hermit guides you. It brings you light and warmth. And if you look closely, there's a little bird here in the corner, there actually is sign of development and growth and change. It just may be very subtle right now, and it may be very hard to spot. So don't wrap yourself up too much around needing to see it or wanting to see it. Just trust that you are being led forward, and that you really do have everything you need. If you focus on that inner hearth fire and allow allow the Hooded Man to guide you, allow spirit to, there's just so much going on in the cards here of you are being guided. Like you are being guided along an ancient path that I'm sure I've mentioned The Alchemist, but I think you need to put that on your reading list again as well, if you haven't already. But I reference that because it's a sense of being on a path that not many are willing to go down. Not many are willing to embrace. And I know that you are, and I see that you are. And so just trust that in the embracing, that you will be guided forward in the way that you need to. And if you'll focus the love back in on yourself, you'll start to see that being reflected to you in the outer world. Okay? As always, questions, comments, whatever you need, please message me. And I really hope some of this landed. It felt like such a strange reading. I'm not gonna lie. It felt like a little tough getting started there. Maybe you picked up on that. I find that happens from time to time when there are layers and there's a lot of deep messages going on. So I am just hoping that this serves you well. Let me know what you think or feel. Talk back soon, dear.